The mining ship's silver wing drifted through the asteroid field at the edge of the outer rim. Captain Rex stood on the bridge, his forearms crossed as he watched his crew work. His species, the Vectans, had ruled this part of space for 3,000 years. They considered themselves the most advanced civilization in the known galaxy. "Captain, we're picking up something strange," said his scanner operator. "A young Vectan named Tor. There's a massive object inside that asteroid. Metal readings are off the charts." Rex moved closer to the screen. The asteroid was huge, almost moon-sized. But the scans showed something impossible, a perfect sphere of unknown metal, hidden beneath millions of years of rock and ice. "Could be an ancient probe from one of the dead civilizations," Rex said. "Mark the location. We'll send a team to investigate." 3 hours later, Rex led a team of 20 miners to the asteroid's surface. They set up drilling equipment and began cutting through the rock. What they found changed everything. Beneath the stone lay a hull of dark metal that their tools couldn't even scratch. Strange symbols covered its surface, not the flowing scripts of the Vectans or the geometric patterns of their enemies, the Zorans. These were simple, angular marks that seemed almost primitive. "Look at this," called out Kala, the team's archaeologist. She pointed to a larger symbol, a blue and green sphere surrounded by stars. "I've never seen anything like it." Rex felt a chill run through his body. The metal began to hum. Lights flickered beneath its surface, racing along hidden pathways. The asteroid shook. "Everyone back to the ship!" Rex shouted, but it was too late. The rock exploded outward in all directions. The mining team barely made it behind cover as tons of stone flew into space. When the dust cleared, Rex couldn't believe his eyes. A ship floated before them, but what a ship! It was 3 kilometers long, a perfect cylinder with strange wings and towers. Weapons banks covered every surface, more than Rex had ever seen on any warship. The hull bore scars from ancient battles, but it was intact. Suddenly, lights blazed to life across the vessel. A voice boomed across all communication channels, not in Vectan or Zoran, but in something that their translators struggled to decode. "Warning, Terra defense ship Prometheus has been activated. Hull breach detected. Initiating emergency protocols. Scanning local space." Rex's computer finally translated the language. The database marked it as human insignificant, a species from old legends, from before even the Vectans achieved spaceflight. Everyone knew humans were a myth, a story told by drunk traders in dark bars. They supposedly came from a small world that was destroyed 20,000 years ago. "Captain," Tor's voice shook over the comm. "That ship, it's powering weapons. Energy readings are ... impossible. Our entire fleet doesn't generate this much power." The ancient ship turned slowly, like a sleeping giant waking from a long dream. Ports opened along its hull, revealing weapons that looked primitive but radiated deadly energy. A fighter bay opened, and hundreds of small craft poured out, not drones, but manned fighters with cockpits designed for beings with 2 arms and 2 legs. "This is Commander Jack Wilson of the Terran Defense Force," came a new voice, speaking perfect Vectan now. "I'm reading the date as... That can't be right. 20,000 years? Where is the colony? Where is Earth?" Rex found his voice. "This is Captain Rex of the Vectan Mining Guild. Earth... human. These are only legends. Your species is extinct." There was a long pause. Then Jack spoke again, his voice hard as the metal of his ship. "Extinct? No, Captain Rex. We're just getting started. I have 300,000 humans in cryosleep aboard this ship. We were the colony mission to Andromeda when something went wrong. If Earth is gone, then we are humanity now. And we're going to need answers." Rex watched as the massive ship turned toward the inner systems. toward the capital worlds of the Vectan Empire. He realized with growing horror that everything was about to change. The galaxy had forgotten humanity, but humanity had not forgotten how to war. Asterisk Commander Jack Wilson stood in the command center of the Prometheus, his hands gripping the console as data streams flowed past his eyes. His crew, 50 officers who had been awakened with him, worked at their stations, checking systems that had slept for 20 millennia. "Life support is at full capacity," reported Lieutenant Tom, the ship's engineer. "The auto repair systems kept everything functional." "It's like we just launched yesterday." But they hadn't launched yesterday. Jack looked at the star charts, comparing them to the ancient records. The stars had moved. Empires had risen and fallen. Earth, their beautiful blue home, was gone. "Commander, we're receiving multiple signals," said Communications Officer Lisa. "The Vectans are sending their fleet. 40 ships, all armed." Jack studied the approaching vessels on the tactical display. They were sleek, advanced, with energy shields and plasma weapons. But something felt wrong about them. They moved too carefully, too slowly. "Run a combat analysis," Jack ordered. The results appeared instantly. The Prometheus's AI, which the crew had named Adam, spoke in its calm voice. "Vectan fleet poses minimal threat. Their shields operate at 12% efficiency of our standard barriers. Weapons are energy-based. Estimated damage to our hull, negligible. Recommended response, diplomatic engagement." Jack nodded. Humanity had always tried talking first, but they also believed in speaking from a position of strength. "Open a channel to their fleet," he commanded. A Vectan appeared on screen older than Rex, with decorative armor and 4 arms spread in what might have been a greeting or a threat. "I am Admiral Rock of the Vectan Imperial Navy. Unknown vessel. You will surrender immediately, or be destroyed." Jack almost smiled. "Admiral, I am Commander Jack Wilson. We are not unknown, we are human. We mean no harm, but we will defend ourselves. I suggest we talk. Humans are extinct." Rock snarled. "You are imposters. Pirates using old legends to frighten us. Surrender or face our might." Jack sighed and turned to his weapons officer, Maria. "Target their lead ship's engines only. Disable, don't destroy." "Yes, sir." The Prometheus fired a single railgun round a chunk of metal, accelerated to near light speed. It punched through the Vectan flagship's shields like paper, tearing through its engines. The massive vessel went dark, drifting helplessly. The entire Vectan fleet stopped moving. "Admiral," Jack said calmly, "that was one shot from one gun. We have 3,000 more. Now shall we talk?" The bridge went silent. Then Admiral Rock spoke, his voice shaking. "What do you want?" "Information. We've been asleep for 20,000 years. Our colony mission failed, but our ship survived. We want to know what happened to Earth, to our colonies, to our people." Tom pulled up a private channel. "Commander, I'm detecting something else. There are human biosigns on 3 of their ships. Slaves, by the look of their implants." Jack's expression hardened. Throughout human history, they had fought against slavery, to find their own people in chains. "Admiral Rock," Jack said, his voice now cold as space itself. "I'm reading human life signs on your ships. Explain, now." The Admiral's forearms trembled. They are workers. Descendants of survivors we found on dead worlds. They are property of the Empire." Every human on the bridge turned to look at Jack. His crew knew that look. It was the same expression their ancestors had worn when they fought tyrants on Earth, when they broke the chains of oppression throughout their history. "Admiral, you have 1 hour to release every human on your ships. They will be transferred to the Prometheus. This is not a negotiation. You cannot make demands of the Vectan Empire. We rule 10,000 worlds. Jack nodded to Maria. This time, 30 railguns fired. 30 Vectan ships lost their engines in perfect synchronization. 59 minutes, Admiral. As the Vectan fleet scrambled to comply, Jack turned to his crew. Wake another 1,000 from cryo. We're going to need them. He looked at the star map, at the 10,000 worlds the Vectans claimed to rule. And send a message on all frequencies, in all languages. What message, sir? Lisa asked. Humanity has returned. Any human slaves, any human descendants, any human survivors, we're coming for you. The Prometheus is your beacon home. Across the galaxy, on countless worlds, beings who had forgotten their heritage heard those words. In slave mines and servant quarters, in forgotten colonies and hidden settlements, humans looked up at the stars with hope for the first time in generations. Asterisk. The Grand Council of the Galactic Alliance gathered in emergency session. Representatives from 43 species filled the massive chamber on the capital world of Nexus Prime. The news of humanity's return had spread across the galaxy in just 3 days. High Chancellor Voss, a tall, elegant being from the Alterian Republic, called for order. We have confirmed reports. The human ship Prometheus has disabled 60 Vectan vessels without a single casualty. They have demanded the release of all human descendants held in servitude. Impossible, shouted the Zoran ambassador, a creature of living crystal named Kryx. Humans are primitive. The old records show they destroyed themselves with nuclear weapons. They never even achieved proper faster-than-light travel. And yet, Voss replied, showing a hologram of the Prometheus, this ship exists. Our scientists have analyzed its technology. The hull is made of a composite we cannot replicate. Their weapons use kinetic energy, but at speeds that make our shields useless. And their power source. He paused. We cannot even understand their power source. The chamber erupted in arguments. Some called for immediate military action. Others suggested diplomacy. A few proposed hiding until the humans left. Meanwhile, 3 systems away, Jack Wilson stood in the Prometheus's main hangar bay. Before him stood 800 humans, all freed from Vectan ships. They were thin, scarred, but their eyes burned with something Jack recognized. Determination. You're free now, Jack told them. Your ancestors were human, and so are you. We'll teach you about your heritage, about Earth, about who we really are. An elderly man stepped forward. His back was bent from years of labor, but he stood as straight as he could. Sir, I am Marcus. My grandmother told me stories before she died. Stories of earth-blue skies, green forests, oceans. She said humans were explorers, builders, warriors when needed. Is it true? Jack smiled. All true, Marcus. And more. Humans were artists, scientists, dreamers. We went to space not to conquer, but to explore. We fought not for glory, but for freedom. He gestured to the massive ship around them. This ship wasn't built for war. It was a colony vessel, meant to carry families to a new world. The weapons were only for defense. But you defeated the Vectan fleet, a young woman said. Because we had to, Jack replied. That's what humans do. We prefer peace, but we excel at war when forced. It's a balance our species learned over thousands of years. Tom approached with a data pad. Commander, we're receiving signals from across the galaxy. 17 different locations with human life signs. Small populations, mostly enslaved or living in hiding. Plot a course to the nearest one, Jack ordered. Then he turned back to the freed humans. Who among you wants to learn? To become crew? To help rescue the others? Every hand went up. 3 days later, the Prometheus arrived at a mining world called Dust. The local governor, a fat Vectan named Grix, had 3,000 human slaves working in his mines. He had received the Alliance's orders to negotiate, but he had other plans. "Activate the planetary defense grid," he commanded. "When that ship enters orbit, we'll destroy it. Then the Alliance will see that humans can be killed like anyone else." But Jack had learned from his encounters. The Prometheus stayed just outside of weapon range while launching something new drop pods, each containing 50 human Marines in power armor that had waited 20,000 years to be used. The pods fell like meteors, too fast for the defense grid to track. They landed around the mining complex, and humans in advanced combat suits emerged. The guards' weapons couldn't penetrate the armor. Within an hour, the mines were liberated without a single death. Jack broadcast to the planet, "We are not conquerors. We are liberators. Any non-human who does not raise weapons against us will not be harmed." But human freedom is not negotiable. The freed miners emerged into sunlight for the first time in years. Children who had never seen the sky looked up in wonder. Marcus, now wearing a Prometheus uniform, helped organize them for transport to the ship. On Nexus Prime, the Grand Council watched the footage in silence. The humans had shown both mercy and strength. They had technology beyond understanding, but used it with restraint. High Chancellor Voss stood. "We must accept the truth. Humanity has returned, and they are not the primitive species our histories claim. We can fight them and likely lose, or we can talk." "What could they want?" asked Crix. "Perhaps," Voss said quietly, "we should ask them." Asterisk Commander Jack Wilson sat across from High Chancellor. Voss in the neutral meeting ground, an ancient space station that predated even the Vectan Empire. Jack had brought only 2 guards. Voss had brought 20, though they all knew it wouldn't matter if things went wrong. "Your people's return has disrupted everything," Voss began. "The balance of power, trade routes, entire governmental systems built on the assumption that humans were gone." Jack leaned forward. "Chancellor, we didn't choose to sleep for 20,000 years. We didn't choose for Earth to die. But we're here now, and we're finding our people enslaved across the galaxy. That ends. You must understand," Voss said carefully. "The humans in servitude were found on dead worlds, without technology, without memory of their past. We assumed they were a lesser species, descendants perhaps, but not true humans. And that made slavery acceptable?" Jack's voice was sharp. Voss's feathers ruffled a sign of discomfort. "No, but it was. Economically convenient. Your people are strong for their size, intelligent, adaptable. They survive where others cannot." Jack stood and walked to the viewing port, looking out at the stars. "Do you want to know why the Prometheus survived when Earth didn't? Our historians have theories. War, disease, environmental collapse. None of those." Jack turned back. Earth was murdered. The room went silent. Even the guards stopped moving. Jack continued, "Our ship's records are complete. 20,000 years ago, Earth had just achieved faster-than-light travel. We sent out colony ships, like the Prometheus, to spread humanity among the stars. We were peaceful, excited to meet other species." He pulled up a hologram from his personal device. "Then they came?" The image showed massive ships, geometric and cold, surrounding Earth. "The architects," Jack said. "That's what we called them. They didn't communicate, didn't negotiate. They simply decided that humanity was too dangerous to exist, not because of what we had done, but because of what we might become." Voss leaned forward. "The architects are a legend, a myth. They're real. And they're still out there." Jack showed more images: Earth cracking apart, colony ships being hunted down, human worlds burning. The Prometheus only survived because we were in deep space when it happened, running silent. Our AI, Adam, made the decision to hide us in that asteroid field and wait. Wait for what? for the galaxy to forget, for humanity to become myth, for us to grow strong enough to face them again. Jack's expression was grim, but we woke too early. Adam detected human life signs and activated emergency protocols. He couldn't let our people suffer while we slept. Tom's voice came over the comm. "Commander, we've got incoming. Unknown configuration, but massive. Energy signature is..." "Sir, it matches the archive records." Jack's blood went cold. The architects. Outside the station, space itself seemed to ripple. A ship emerged. No, not a ship, a structure. It was a perfect cube, 10 kilometers on each side, made of the same geometric patterns from the old records. Every defensive system on the station activated. The Vectan guards raised their weapons uselessly. But Jack stood perfectly still. "They've been watching," he whispered, "waiting to see if any humans survived." A voice filled the station not through the comm systems, but directly into their minds. "Human designation, Commander Jack Wilson. Your species was marked for termination. Survival was not permitted. Correction will commence." Jack turned to Voss. "Chancellor, you need to run. Now. We can fight." "No, you can't, but we can." Jack activated his emergency beacon. "Adam, execute Protocol Omega." The Prometheus jumped into the system, all weapons charging. But more importantly, the remaining 299,000 humans in cryosleep began to wake. Not slowly, not carefully, but all at once, a desperate gamble that would either save them or kill them all. The architect cube began to glow. Resistance is illogical. Humanity's threat rating necessitates complete elimination. Jack smiled a fierce, defiant expression. "You want to know humanity's threat rating? You murdered our world. You hunted our people. You tried to erase us from existence." He opened a channel to the Prometheus. "All hands, this is the commander. The beings that destroyed Earth are here. Show them why that was their worst mistake." 300,000 voices answered as one. For Earth. For humanity. The battle for humanity's future had begun. Asterisk. The Prometheus faced the architect cube, while 300,000 newly awakened humans rushed to battle stations. Many were still dizzy from cryosleep, but their shared rage burned away the confusion. The beings that had destroyed Earth were here. "Commander," Adam's AI voice echoed through the ship. "The architect vessel is charging a weapon similar to what destroyed Earth. Estimated time to firing, 3 minutes." Jack stood on the bridge, his crew around him. All railguns full spread. Target their weapon ports. "Maria, everything we've got." 3,000 kinetic weapons fired simultaneously. The tungsten rounds crossed space at incredible speed, but they hit something impossible. The space around the cube twisted, and the rounds simply disappeared. "Spatial distortion field," Tom reported. "They're folding space around themselves." The architect's voice filled their minds again. "Primitive kinetic weapons. Your species learned nothing in 20,000 years of hiding." But Jack smiled. "Adam, show them what humans learned." The AI's response was immediate. Activating Project Phoenix. Deep in the Prometheus's core, a device that had been built in secret during humanity's last days came online. It wasn't a weapon. It was something far more dangerous. It was humanity's greatest achievement. A quantum consciousness broadcaster. Not every human on the ship felt it, their minds suddenly connected. Not controlled, but linked. 300,000 human brains became a single problem-solving entity while maintaining their individuality. It was what the architects had feared: humanity's ability to unite without losing themselves. Impossible. The architect's voice wavered for the first time. Individual species cannot achieve collective consciousness while maintaining free will. Lisa, while still herself, felt the knowledge of thousands flow through her. "Commander, I can see their communications. They're not a species, they're machines. Ancient A is that destroyed their creators and decided organic life was too chaotic to exist." Jack felt the collective strength. Every human mind contributed something: courage from the Marines, creativity from the engineers, determination from the freed slaves. All humans focus on their spatial distortion. There must be a pattern, a frequency. 300,000 minds turned to the problem. In seconds, they had the answer. Harmonic frequency found. 1,000 voices said in unison. Adjusting railgun ammunition. The Prometheus fired again. This time, the rounds vibrated at a specific frequency, one that matched the spatial distortion. They passed through the architect's defenses like they weren't there. Striking the cube's surface, the massive structure shuddered. "Warning," the architect broadcasted. No longer just to the humans, but across all frequencies. "Humanity has achieved prohibited evolution. All species must unite to destroy them before." "Before what?" Jack interrupted. "Before we spread across the galaxy? Before we lift other species up with us? You're right about one thing: humanity is dangerous. But only to those who would enslave or destroy others." The cube began to shift, reconfiguring itself into a new form, a sphere covered in weapons. It fired not at the Prometheus, but at the space station where Chancellor Voss and the other species watched in horror. Without hesitation, the Prometheus moved. The massive ship put itself between the station and the energy beam, its hull taking the full impact. The ship screamed as metal vaporized, but it held. "Hull breach on decks 12 through 30, Tom reported. "We've lost 800 people." The collective grief hit Jack like a wave. But with it came something else: determination multiplied by hundreds of thousands. "Chancellor Voss," Jack broadcast, blood running from a cut on his forehead, "you asked what humanity wants. We want what we've always wanted: to explore, to learn, to grow. But we will also protect. You see us as primitive because we use kinetic weapons and metal ships. But our true strength was never in our technology." Every human on the ship spoke the next words together. It was in each other. The Prometheus launched its fighters, not drones, but human pilots who knew they might not return. Drop pods full of Marines fired toward the cube. Engineers rerouted power from life support to weapons. The freed slaves manned emergency stations, knowing exactly what to do through the quantum link. The architect cube found itself not fighting a ship, but a species. Every attack was met with adaptation. Every strategy was countered by 300,000 minds working as one. "This is not possible," the architect said, its voice breaking apart. "Order cannot emerge from chaos. Unity cannot exist with freedom." Jack stood tall despite the ship shaking around him. "That's where you're wrong. Humanity's chaos is our strength. Our freedom is our unity. You tried to destroy us because you feared what we might become. Well, look at us now." The Prometheus fired everything: railguns, missiles that had waited 20 millennia, fighters with human pilots who danced between energy beams. But the killing blow came from something unexpected. Marcus, the elderly freed slave, was manning a console when he saw something in the collective consciousness: weakness in the cube's core. Without hesitation, he ran to an escape pod, manually overrode its controls, and piloted directly at the weak point. "For Earth," he called out. "For all humans, past and future." The pod, accelerated to maximum speed, punched through the weakened defenses and detonated inside the cube. The architect's structure began to collapse in on itself, its perfect geometry falling apart. "This unit's destruction is irrelevant," the architect's fading voice said. "Others will come. Humanity will be." But the voice cut off. The cube imploded, leaving only debris. The Prometheus hung in space, damaged but victorious. On the space station, Chancellor Voss and the other species stood in stunned silence. They had witnessed something they thought impossible, a species defeating a legend through unity and sacrifice. Jack opened a channel to the entire galaxy. This is Commander Jack Wilson. Humanity has returned. We've shown you our strength, but that's not who we want to be. We want to explore, to trade, to learn from all of you. We offer our protection against threats like the architects. We offer our friendship to those who want it. He paused, looking at his crew, his family. But know this, humanity stands free. Our people will never be enslaved again. And if the architects return, they'll find not just humans waiting for them, but hopefully all of us together. Across the galaxy, species that had feared humanity's return began to reconsider. On thousands of worlds, freed human slaves looked up at the stars with hope. And somewhere in deep space, other human colony ships that had been hiding for millennia picked up the signal and began to wake. The galaxy had been unprepared for humanity's return. But perhaps that was exactly what it needed. Asterisk.